The K Jazz Show, Sundays on Kofifi FM 97.2.
Titi Luzipo has become a household name in jazz and afro soul circles of South Africa. She is a student of music, specializing in jazz performance, and has shared the stages and including working closely with local and international musicians such as Feya Faku, the late Gloria Bosman, Judith Sephuma, Tsepo Tsola, Caiphus Semenya, Thandiswa Mazwai, Simphiwe Dana, and many others. Her debut project, Titi Luzipo, was released in 2019 under the production of Luyanda Madope and featured renowned jazz beatsman Makwai Mkhubata, and she has received a special recognition for that project and has also been nominated at the Mzansi Jazz Awards for the Best Jazz Song and Best Female Artist. She joins us this Sunday for Our Africa to introduce her new single as she embarks on a new story. Good morning, Didi, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Oh my God, that was such a beautiful introduction.
Oh man, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
What a wonderful career, my friend. You know, looking back, and this is after performing and sharing stages with the stars of the world, such as yourself. You know, let's talk about the career highlights. What has been some of the highest moments in your career?
Oh my goodness. Ngwako, firstly, thank you for having me, and good morning to all your listeners. I've had a beautiful journey of music and creativity, and I think whenever I count my blessings, I count that blessing first. To have shared the stage with a number of international artists, Somi, Brakatse, rather known as Caiphus Semenya, Mamleta, the late Dorothy Masuka, I think for me has been a complete blessing. Just before Mom Dorothy died, I recorded on her the album that she recorded before she died, and there was a show that we did at a place called Sophia Town in West Dean, and she said, "You know, when I die, I now know what legacy I'm leaving behind, and I know exactly who will sing my songs." And she said that'll be none other than Titi Luzipo. And I think for me, those are the little things I take with me for every time I get on stage. You know what I mean?
I love that.
And it was on record, so it was just such a beautiful moment. And I then knew that I've got big shoes to fill. You know what I mean? Having shared the stage with legends like Mom Gloria Bosman, whom we've just lost, it's been an amazing journey. It's been an amazing journey. But I must say, recently, one of the biggest highlights of my career was having performed in Guinea-Bissau, where Miriam Makeba had staged for more than 15 years.
Yeah.
And we did a tribute concert as part of Africa Day under the Thabo Mbeki Foundation and under the Thabo Mbeki annual lecture. And the president stood up and said, he came up to me and said, "You know, I looked at you and I knew that you are going to be a superstar."
Wow.
And for that, I now know that South Africa is in safe hands. And for me to get recognition from His Excellency is something that I don't take lightly. So I've had some beautiful moments on and off stage. But ultimately, I think the greatest one of them all, Ngwako, is performing with my mother. I think that for me will always be the cherry on top. The fact that I can still sing with her, I can still share melodies with her is something that I don't take lightly, because I inherited this music gift from her. So the fact that I can still sing with her, I think is something that I still can't believe it, actually.
No, man.
I still can't believe it, but yeah.
Thank you for those wonderful reflections. I celebrate them. I love them for you, my friend. You know, in 2019, you released your self-titled project, which introduced us to the different aspects of who you are. You know, as a musician, there's a fusion of Afro soul, there's jazz, there's, you know, traditional folk, and so on. How would you define Titi's sound?
Titi Luzipo is a girl who grew up in a very wide spectrum of music. So my grandfather was a choral composer, right? And that's my maternal grandfather. My paternal grandfather was a leader of the Presbyterian Church, the Xhosa City Gabe. So I grew up in a very, and that can already tell you that these are two different pathways, right? My mother then became a jazz singer, which means then I was introduced to jazz. In various forms, So I grew up listening to Lorez, Alexandria, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, and the likes, Billie Holiday. And my dad was also a deep, avid lover of jazz, but more into pure jazz. So your Duke Ellington, your Miles Davis. I remember listening to the album Bitches Brew for the first time, like surreal. As a kid, growing up in the 90s, you would expect me to be saying, no, I listened to Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey. No, I definitely grew up listening to Bitches Brew, John Coltrane, and the like. So I had a very interesting upbringing in that way. And so when I recorded my album, it was, as you can hear, it's a combination of a number of things. It's a combination of African fusion, because I grew up listening to Winston Mankunku, Mike Perry, McCoy Mkhobata, and the likes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Miriam Makeba later. So when I recorded my album, I wanted people to get a feel of where I come from, a feel of my upbringing, a feel of my roots. Jazz is in my roots, but more than anything, music is in my roots. And I think I was blessed because songs like Moya Oyingwele came through a dream, songs like Being Woman, I penned down, mainly because of the state of emergency we had found ourselves as a country in terms of the socio-economic issue that is gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And so for me, I wanted to write music that would reflect the current reality of myself, of the community, and of everyone around me. So I always say that I wanted to write music that was going to evoke emotion. And I think I did exactly that with the debut album. Hence, I self-titled it. I felt like I'd be robbing people if I titled it Inyati or Nomanzocho, I self-titled it because I really just wanted everybody to get a piece of who I am, the different thoughts that go into the creative process of my writing and so on and so forth. And it took me a while to record because you must remember I've been an artist for quite some time. But I only released the body of work in 2019. And the reason for that is because besides the fact that good things take time to mature and to be refined, I really also just wanted to go through a phase of my life where I called it like a self-actualization period.
Yeah.
Where I wanted to find myself. I wanted to bring out honesty. I wanted to be honest with myself about what I wanted to do. You must remember, as a Black kid, there are questions around why you should become a musician. When there's other things, I mean, you could become a doctor, and all that stuff.
A teacher. The list is endless.
The list is endless, and I honestly thank God that, I mean, my mother left, she's still very active in the industry, of course, but over time, she left the industry to focus on other things. She's got a number of degrees and all of that. So you can imagine the pressure I can go from at Ekaya,
Absolutely.
I tried this, my baby. It may not just work out. So do you want to give yourself some time and think, about what you really want to do? Do you really want to do music? And there was also a thing of, okay, you're still young. Perhaps you can focus on something else as well, explore your options, etc., etc. So I'm not saying I took time to record my debut because I was unsure. I'd always been sure that music is my calling.
Yeah.
But I think I wanted to be with myself to produce something that was going to really evoke that emotion of people. And I think I did exactly that by penning songs down, such as Being Woman Part 1 and 2, Moya Oyingwele, Seasons, and the likes. It really is a reflection of my reality and my truth.
ndinixelele ngezivunguvungu zalo mhlaba. Igama lam nguTiti, ndithunywe ngabakhulu ukuze ndinixelele ngezivunguvungu zalo mhlaba.
It is now 2023. You are ready to take us on another journey, and this time you're calling it freedom. What is this conversation about?
it's quite a deep conversation, because it it's an amalgamation of a number of things that have happened between the release of my debut and now. Um, in my stride of writing music, I think I was one of the maybe fortunate but unfortunate ones in a way, because remember I released my debut in 2019, right? And then
That's right.
2020, a big year for me, but then COVID hit, right? And COVID came with a lot of things, but one of the things that COVID came with was the reflective time, the time alone that we had with ourselves. And in the search of myself, my journey, I had this question during COVID: what do I want? What do I want? What do I want to tell people? What do I want to sing about? As much as I am a conduit of music and melodies, and I deliver messages messages of melody for my people, I just wanted to know, like I kept asking God, but what kind of message do I want to preach? And I had this thing that I wanna be free. I wanna speak about freedom. I want to speak about freedom generally, not only freedom that comes with what we're going through as a country and as a nation and as the world, but I think everyone has been binded by something in life that you want to free yourself from. It's like the lyrics of Bob Marley: emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but yourself can free your mind.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean?
That's right.
So for me, it was a thing of, oh my God, like there's just so many chains, Nkwako. There's so many. There's a lot going on in the country. There's a lot going on with people. There's a lot of bondage. There's a lot of self-inflicted pain and stuff. And I really just wanted to talk about songs of freedom. And it's so funny that the first song that I penned down post those thoughts was this one, and I then titled it Freedom.
Yeah.
And I think it's evident because it's really just resounded ceaselessly in my mind for many, many years, because I've always yearned for this elusive idea, that I believe every person, every man, every woman should attain, that we've dreamed and we've often prayed that, one day freedom will manifest, in its entirety before our eyes. And I don't think we've really experienced that, but I think as time goes by, we will. And I think it's songs like this one, it's songs like Freedom that will help us liberate ourselves from the chains that are binding us. Last week I was saying in an interview that if music is the universal language that everyone can relate to and understand, then I think I'm ready to write more songs of freedom. I think I'm ready to write more songs that are going to challenge the status quo. Songs that are going to challenge. I mean, I'm sure you follow me on social media. I'm quite big on
very expressive
on
too.
Things.
Very expressive too.
And I've always been one to challenge the status quo. I've always been one to involve myself in politics and the socio-economic issues that we face as a country. And I think it's important because, I mean, even if you look back, songs like Stop the War from Tsepo Tsola, those are songs of freedom. Kauleza was a song of freedom. Stimela, Brahima Sakela, that's a song of freedom, Where Are the Children Now? Victor Ndoli, those are songs of freedom. You know what I mean?
They are.
Absolutely. And I think if we want to carry on this legacy and also start a new one so that those that come after us can relate, then it's important that we leave somewhat message for them to be able to. So, yes, Freedom is a song that speaks very dearly to my heart, and I hope that it really touches those that lend an ear to it.
Kofifi FM, we're spending time with Titi Luzipo. It is Our Africa, the feature, and of course, it is all about the youth in jazz music as we've been celebrating, for the past 3 weeks. And within this one is the last one for the month, as we wrap it up. And we're talking to Titi about her new project, Freedom, which she's explaining, in terms of how it all came about. Titi, thank you, for reaching in and wanting for us to do the work. We spoke early on about how COVID, kind of disrupted things, and we spent a lot of time alone, and a lot of people did not make it out, the way they came in, so as to say. But with Freedom, with these narratives, with these conversations, you want us to do the work. We're reaching into ourselves. We're bringing in the healing. We're starting over. Some of us are starting new lives, that sort of thing. And thank you for being that mouthpiece to guide us into, that thinking, those narratives that we need to engage with. Of course, through your music as a social commentator, as an artist, as someone who tells the stories of life. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I want us to talk about, the debut album was under the production of Liana Matop. And I want us to talk about the creative process this time around, who you've worked with, on the new project.
So I think I still am very blessed to call Luyanda a friend, but most of all a big brother who really just sharpened my skills where production and music is concerned. And I remember when we were in studio recording my debut, I mean, you know how Luyanda speaks, it's very explicit and very straightforward.
Yes.
Said, so I need you to learn. I want you to learn. I want you to look at me. Meaning step into my footsteps. And I thought, are you mad? I thought, are you insane? How on earth do I even begin to do it? And I think over the years, he's encouraged me to be comfortable and to be conformable, and I think that's why I've now seen myself in even greater positions and bigger positions. I mean, I've been music directing for Simphiwe Dana for quite some time now. We've just come out of a big production titled Moya, where I co-wrote some music. So it's been quite an interesting journey. And so when I then decided, okay, I'm ready to start putting down the little pieces of my sophomore album, I thought back to what Luyanda had said, that nyatela apo nyatela kona, and I've been taking that step by step. So on this project, with Freedom specifically, I worked with Lungelo Ngobo, who is an amazing, brilliant pianist that I met many, many, many moons ago. And he produced the single for me, and we co-wrote it together. I think going forward, without jinxing, but I think I really want to open up myself and my creative process to a number of musicians. I think I've created an amazing relationship with many, many people, and I think this next body of work, I would like for it to be a combination of collaborations. I've been dying to work with a number of people. So many of my peers have done amazing things. On the first album, I worked with. The first album was more like a gift to myself. You know what I mean? Hence, I worked with the Ringo Matlingozi, the Luyanda Matopes, and the Mokoy Mkobatas. For me, it was a thing of. There's a song on that album, Eti Inyati Ibuza Kwaba Phambili. It was a reflection of that. I really wanted to go through that phase first, And now I think I'm ready to collaborate with the more younger artists, that have got fresh new ideas, fresh new theories. So I really want to work with a number of artists, the Dayas of this world, the Zoe Modijas, the Mananas, the Langa Mavusos. I just really want to explore a different taste. Hence, I started off with Lungelo Ngobo, and then of course, the band that's playing on the record is my band. We call each other the Syndicate. So it's Lungelo Ngobo on keys, it's Tsepo Tsola on arrangements, Mamba Chabalala on trumpet. On guitar, I've got Ike Abu. On bass, I've got Kubekani Teton, and then on drums, I've got Sinikiwe Mabaso. On additional vocals, I've got Sipho Mhlanga. So it's quite a young bunch of musicians that are really they've got create new endeavors kind of a thing. And I really want to explore that new sound and see how far it's going to take me. But I don't forget my roots, Ngwako. I think I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for the love and the relationships that I've created with people like Ringo, Makoy Mkhubata, Feya, the late Gloria, the late Mams Bongile. You know, those are really the people that built me, that shaped me, and that actually helped that album get even to where it is currently. That album still shocks me, actually. My debut still shocks me. Like, it's still doing amazing things on radio, and it's all thanks to you as well. You know, you guys have just really supported our music. So yeah, I think the Sophomore album is going to be a collaboration of a number of things, and I'm really looking forward to what it is that it's going to do for me and obviously for the audience.
Oh, and we look forward to being a part of this journey, you know, and we play this music because it makes sense to us. You know, it makes sense to have a platform where jazz lives, where music lives, music that makes sense, that always, and I always quote, you know, a friend of the Cage, Nikki B, she says, music that deserves to be heard. And absolutely, you know, that resonates with me because it is South African music that deserves to be heard by South Africans. And unfortunately, you know, we don't have a final album date yet because I think you're still in the works, but we'll be watching you closely, Titi, and we'll be following,
it's still,
you know,
very in the works, guys. Yeah. Please give me time. I really want to define this. You know, there's a Sis Mamsi who's an avid supporter of jazz.
We love Sis Mamsi.
Mamsi said, uyazini Titi, mina ngiyekile ukunibuza ngoba ngibona ngathi you guys are starting to take offense. Ngathi Sis Mamsi, yazini, me, I don't take offense because I personally think that if you ask me, it means that you want more of me, and for me that's the most humbling thing that I've ever experienced as a person. But you know, these things take time, Gogo. Like, you know, they do, and it's important that we give you our honesty. It's important that we give you everything that we can. I mean, if you look at Thandiswa Mazwai, Thandiswa released Zabalaza. That was her first studio album as an independent artist, or rather individual artist outside of a group. It took her forever to release Ipokwe. It took her forever to release Belete, you know.
And now the next one being Sankofa, which we are patiently waiting for. And it's been quite a while since. You know.
But have we forgotten her? No. And that's because of the love that you guys have always just shown to her. Yeah. And I think for me, those are people that are my compass. You know, people like Thandiswa Mazwai are my compass. Like, for me, it's a thing of how did you remain so relevant? It's because she wrote music that was honest. She wrote timeless music. And I think that's really what I want to do with my music as well. I want to write timeless music, and it takes time. And I think, you know, I'm doing it step by step. I'm not away from my audience. I take shows and interviews all the time. I'm not going into any sabbatical.
Exile.
I'm not going into any exile. I want to sing, and I'm looking forward to doing so many things. And there's a number of things. I mean, we started the silent concert during COVID, you know, and that's been doing very well. I'm bringing back #songs my mother taught me as well. So I'm still very much in the eyes and ears of my audience. But, you know, in terms of a recording, I think I really just want to take my time in doing it so that I do it to the greatest perfection.
Wow. I can appreciate it. And of course, thank you, you know, for taking your time to chat to us this Sunday and for sharing the first single, which we play out with, you know, but we definitely look forward to hearing more of you and seeing more of you on the social media pages. And of course, seeing you at the shows whenever and wherever they happen. Of course, we always encourage our listeners to go out and support live music, because this is exactly where you guys live. This is where we get to almost be, you know, in contact physically with you, because you are live in the room, you know. So from us,
absolutely.
So from us here on the KHS show, that has been a wonderful conversation. She is vocalist composer Titi Luzipo, and she is on the KHS show this Sunday. Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and I love you guys so much. Thank you for always supporting good music. We appreciate you.
Every morning I wake up dreaming of a life we would like, of a life we deserve. And every night I wake thinking we can do better. Maybe they can do better. Sometimes it's a game knowing that someone fought for me. I don't have liberation. We don't have emancipation. Oh, yeah. Mental slavery, bondage abound. Brother, can you see? We were never free. Will we be free? And why can't we be? Why can't you see that we are suffering in silence and it's so loud? All I ask is freedom. All I seek is freedom. I'm hoping for freedom. All I want is freedom. I'm begging for freedom. I'm yearning for freedom. I'm asking for freedom. All I seek is freedom. Every morning I wake up dreaming of a life we would like, of a life we deserve. And every night I wake thinking that we can do better. Maybe they can do better. Will we be free? And why can't we be? Will we be free? And why can't you see? Will we be free? Why can't you see? Why can't you see that we are suffering in silence and it's so loud? All I ask is freedom. All I seek is freedom. I'm yearning for freedom. I'm praying for. I'm yearning for. All I'm asking for is, and all I'm begging for is, all I'm seeking for is, somebody say freedom.